So the rolled butter cookie dough has been freezing, so you can see it is like quite firm now. I have both the egg and the eggless, so again I'm going to do a few variations here. So you could just cut them out and bake them as round discs. That is like the plain butter cookies. Okay, but then I thought we'll just include a few variations to make the lesson a little more exciting. So that is sugar I have. I'm going to make orange sugar and show you. I'm going to use the zest of this orange, and I'm going to add the zest into the sugar and then make it like orange sugar. And I'm going to roll one of the log into the orange sugar and then cut them into slices. So the edges of the disc is going to be orange colored and also orange flavored, naturally flavored orange sugar on the edges. So when you're going to eat that butter cookie which has that zest of the orange and a little bit of sweetness from the sugar, which will also get caramelized a bit while baking, and it's going to be really yummy. So that is one variation. And the other one of the log, I'm just going to roll out on nuts, mixed nuts that has been chopped into like really finer pieces. Okay, so this is like really good, and this is another variation, and we can see use the same logic in different other ways to make different variations with cookies that you can cut them out. It just doesn't have to be the butter cookie, but then we can use this idea for a lot of other cookies which could be rolled out into logs. So this is the one with eggs, and this is the one without eggs. This is a little softer and this is firmer, but then they are just turning out soft because it's been out, say, like for the last 10 minutes. Now a zester like this is really useful when we are going to use it for baking, because a lot of times we use the orange and the lemon because they are easily available fruits in a country like ours. And so flavoring in terms of any dessert, orange and lemon come in handy. Now adding zest is the best way to flavor any of your desserts that you want to add the citrus fruits. So zester is very important. So I have a zester like this, and I'm just zesting out. So when you are zesting, you don't go into the layer which is the white layer, because that will turn bitter. Okay, so I'm just going to start scraping this. So obviously the fruit should have been washed in water and then pat dried using a towel, and once it is dry is when you have to start zesting. You don't want to wash it and then zest while the outside the skin is really wet. You can just feel the the really that fresh scent, the natural flavor of orange is just coming out just from the zest. We don't need juice to actually have the flavor, but even in places where we are using orange juice for the flavor, the zest, adding zest is very important. So learning to get the zest out of the citrus fruits skin is one essential step that will be needed. So zesting is when you are going to use fruit juice and the zest, obviously you can't take the zest out of an orange or a lemon, a fruit that has been cut. So you will have to take the zest out and then cut the fruit to get the juice out. Okay, so I've just removed most of the zest out from the fruit. So I'm just going to okay, now I'm just going to use my hands, fingers, and mix up. Now that will be the plain natural color. Now if you are going to exaggerate the color a bit, you can add a little bit of orange, like 1 drop of even orange gel should be fine, because if you're going to call this as a orange butter cookie, then a little bit of color is needed. But I usually choose in the baked products, I kind of like to choose the natural shade of however I get. So I'm just going to leave this. So I'm just getting the silicone mat out. Okay, I'm just going to sprinkle this orange sugar on the mat. Just going to evenly spread this. I'm getting the eggless rolled dough. So if you're going to take it from the freezer, you want to allow it to be outside for say at least 5 to 10 minutes, or check the consistency. If it is like really very firm, then cutting them into slices would be a trouble. Okay, so it is firm but not like too hard. I'm just rolling out. I'm making sure the sugar is coated all around. I'm just going to check in places where it is not stuck. I'm going to add extra. Just roll it firmly once, so you want the sugar to get stuck on the outside properly. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to use a knife and then start cutting. After I am going to cut them into slices, let me have the tray prepared. So I'm just having the parchment paper lined up on a baking tray. I'm going to get the log nearer, and then I'm just going to cut the outermost. I'm just going to cut it out, and then I'm just going to check the thickness, and I wanted to keep it even, like it's about 3 mm. Okay, I'm just going to pick up and then start placing on the prepared baking tray. So I want to keep the thickness even. So while baking, you will have the cookies baked evenly, otherwise the ones that you cut out thin is going to become like crispier than the ones that are cut out a bit thicker. Just going to start placing them. So I have a few more that doesn't fit into the baking tray. So I'm just going to save it for the next batch together with rest of the other dough in case if I have, or I could use a bigger baking tray. Okay, so now these are the cookies that are nicely cut out from the log, and the outside edge has been beautifully coated with orange flavored sugar. And so this needs to go into the oven to get baked at 180 degrees Celsius, and it should have been a preheated oven. And you can bake this anywhere between, because I've just cut them out a little thicker, anywhere between 13 to 15 minutes, and until you can see the edges are turning golden brown. And then I'm just going to show you how it looks like after it's gotten baked. Okay, so now this I will move aside, and let me also continue working on the nuts. So the nuts I'm just going to drop on the silicone mat. So I have the pistas, almonds and walnuts and everything is. So you don't have to toast this because it's going to go into the oven, and it is going to be on the outside and it is going to get toasted there. But if you already have toasted nuts, then not a problem, you can use that as well. Okay, so now this log is there. I'm just going to start rolling it on the nuts. So I'm just going to put some pressure, and so the nuts just become embedded, nicely locked inside the dough. So I'm going to put in a little more pressure so the nuts just go in well. So the log is nicely coated with the nuts and it looks so beautiful. Now let me prepare the baking tray. With a parchment paper, and this I'm just going to start cutting. Now at this stage, if I feel the log has become soft, I can freeze this after it's been studded with the nuts. But if I'm able to manage to cut, I can continue. When this is quite soft now, with firming it will help. Now when you're cutting, If you find difficulty, go ahead and freeze before you are going to cut. So let me see how much is just going to be enough for the tray. In case if this is enough, then I will allow the rest of the log to go freezing, and so I could bake that for the next set. So this log, I'm just going to save it, cling wrap again, and then put it in the freezer. So I'm just going to set that one aside here. Like I already said, the ones with the orange sugar coated, and that is the eggless version, and this is the one with egg, and this has been rolled with the toasted nuts, and these both have to go into the oven to get baked at 180 degrees Celsius for about 13 to 15 minutes, like I said, because I have cut them out a little thicker and you want the outside edge to turn golden brown, and then I'm just going to get back to show you how they've got baked. So we have the orange sugar coated butter cookies baked nicely, and we have the sugar here, so that is going to add extra sweetness to this cookie, which we have to be aware when we are going to eat or even serve. Okay, so these are a bit thin, so you can see the edges are a bit more brown, and this is a bit thick one. So I just want to break one of this and see how it looks. So it snaps, so which means it is baked really good, and the bottom is like the light brown, which is nice, but the top the color remains pale, so that snapping once it is baked is a nice way where we can just stop baking it. It doesn't have to be that very soft kind of a thing. So this is the one which has the nuts coated all around, and you can see the bottom is quite brown and good. So we just take one and then snap, so it breaks well, which means it's baked right. Now if you are looking forward for a little more crispier cookie, it is all fine to go ahead and then bake this so the edges get a little more brown. So you can see here these are a bit thicker cookies. The edges are not really very brown, but then you can see in this case it is like quite brown, and in a case like this it is not as brown yet, but you could go on and then bake for 2 more minutes. Like you check it out of the oven and you are looking for how brown it is on the edges. When if it is like a little pale, then keep placing it in the oven every 2 minutes to take it out to check for the color on the edges, and once you have that golden brown, and then it is done. And if you do not want it crispier, then don't wait for the edges also to get like really golden brown, but obviously little color change is necessary, and one tray, one batch of cookie going into the oven will take at least 10 to 11 minutes, and then beyond that it could just go up to 13 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. So with this, we've just come to the end of the butter cookies lesson. We just started with making both the doughs, the egg and eggless, and then we've just combined to see how the texture between the egg and eggless is going to be. I just wanted to keep both of them together, so comparing the results would be like really nice. And we did like 4 variations. One was just the cutouts, where you can use different cookie cutters and then cut them out, and they are like really plain and nice by itself. And then we had the dulce de leche made, and then we sandwiched together making alfajores, and then we have these logs rolled as variations for the orange sugar rolled, and then the toasted and chopped nuts rolled over, and we have 4 different variations for us to try in this particular lesson.